and gold and platinum recovery using an alkali fusion method we call alkali fusion the Wendell method. And we have a particular appetite for that method because it has enormously attractive green aspects to it and has shown to be extraordinarily simpatico with our ore. So we're still very much in the process of fitting the recovery method to the ore at hand, specifically to be able to optimize the gold, platinum, and palladium recovery. That's a task in process right now. Secondly, we need to, on the strength of this data, enter into an agreement with an investment banking firm. We have been following that firm's recommendation in order to get the data that they require. And what I'm revealing to you right now is that we are following that path exactly. And finally, that leads to them representing and selling the property. So I just had a conversation here in this room with people who have been shareholders for a lot of years. What I'm saying to you right now is the goal line is in sight, and these are the major accomplishments or major milestones left to be accomplished, and they are our top and only priority for the remainder of our time as stewards of this activity. Is that helpful? Can you see that picture as clearly as I think I see it?
John, excuse me, John?
Is there a question here?
Okay.
Kurt Olson. So what you're saying is that from the doré bar you pulled all the silver out of the ore, but that's the gold, the platinum, palladium is in addition to what the silver that's been pulled out of the ore?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me speak to that, Kurt. We have two different recovery processes. One is we've been using the silver in court, and that has worked out very well. We have one more test we're going to do also using gold as an in court. And
does everybody know what an in court is?
Well, Jim Murray's going. I'm going to let Jim. He's going to speak here shortly, and I'll let him answer that question. But I wanted to speak to your question, and that's at the silver in court. We have determined, or Copper State did the numbers for us on the recovery, and that's about $450 per ton. The $225 that John had in the, you want to go back to that, John? Yeah, the $225. Richard Danielle, who's a metallurgical engineer, who's a consultant for us and is what we call our QP, our qualified person, has done research on it, and he at the high end, he had a range, but the high end was $225 on the alkali fusion for the Wendell method. I just wanted to document those numbers. We just didn't pull them out of air. We had actual running and had an expert do it on the two different methods. And while we're talking about that, both of these methods, the alkali fusion method of recovery and the silver in court, both of those can be used. So that it's not an either or. What Mike Wendell doesn't seem to get is the silver with his alkali fusion. So the silver in court is a huge step for us, as you can tell.
Excuse me, Chuck. He asked if that included the platinum and palladium. It does not, does it?
Oh, we've answered that. It does not.
Yes. Thank you.
Chuck's comments really shed light from my perspective on the fact that a lot of these questions aren't either or. These probably both and. And the question about whether or not you use two processes is an economic question. Are you going to yield enough from the extra effort to make it a commercially viable activity? It's our intent to convey to you today that we have an economically viable ore, We have methods of recovery that are economically viable, and we've been able to establish that at an arm's length. Those are the critical pieces of data I hope you either challenge or accept. Yes, sir.
I'll just speak up. What's that? Oh, great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
let me explain why Ron's doing this. Is because we are going to tape this, if that's the right word, videoed it, I guess, and it's going to be on our website here hopefully in a couple days. So we just want you to know that you will be able to see this again.
This is Trevor Holsinger, and my question has to do with right now you're pursuing two methods of extraction.
Correct.
And they're brand new or not in production.
The silver in quart is not new. The alkaline fusion is new, and Jim Murray, who I said president of Arrakis, is here, and I'm going to let him respond to the alkaline fusion.
But the method that gave us the data I revealed is a method that has been around a long time.
Jim, why don't you do that now? Ron, do you want to give Jim Murray? Let me introduce you all to Jim Murray, who is one of the top metallurgists, we think, in the country, and their company is unique. They are the only company that we know of in the world that is working on microcluster nanotechnology. And John and I have been to their office and are very impressed with all their people. And he has a Dr. Poole that's part of his team that's from South Africa and actually has operated and is one of the top metallurgists on platinum in the world. Jim, thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. Let's give him a good Arizona welcome.
Well, I don't know if I can live up to that introduction, but I just wanted to comment. Yes, they are talking about a new process, an established process. Arrakis has also been working on using froth flotation, which has been around for 100 years, and that's showing good promise on both the gold and the platinum group metals in terms of recovery. So I think what these gentlemen are carefully reporting to you is results by third parties thus far, but I need to tell you, I need to shut my cell phone off is what I need to do. Do that. Good. They're pursuing this on several different fronts, and in my opinion, the final process scheme will not be just one of these technologies because, as already been pointed out, you have metal occurring in several different forms in several different places. And a standard practice in the industry is to use several different processes to maximize recovery. Now, obviously, the goal of ElCapitan is not to go build a plant, but a mining company looking at this will have to look at what are the processes that we can recover this by. So, just a general comment. I'll talk more a little later.
Okay.
Thank you. So here's where we are as we stand today, and I would like to suggest that we have been good stewards of this activity. It is not our intent in any way, shape, or form to overpromise and underdeliver. It is our intent to be sure every step of the way that we've done what we said we've done. It's extraordinarily important, in spite of the way we're testing everybody's, including my patients. It's extraordinarily important to get this right and to get it done in a way that when the due diligence process begins on the part of a buyer, that we can stand there with our heads up and know what kinds of results they're going to get. That is the entirety of where we are. There are 1,000 other details around the activity. But if you take nothing out of this meeting, I would like very much for you to either accept or challenge the statements that have been made. They are the core of our economic proposition, and they are what we're all here about as shareholders of the company. Thank you.
This is
going to entertain questions?
Yes, we'll entertain questions, and if at some point I want Jim Murray to speak because the work that we're doing is very important. Up here, Ron.
Shall we just close the meeting for the vote count and then open it up to a much more free-form discussion? May I suggest that?
Sure.
Steve, are you in a position to report to us?
I got to look up all the numbers of shares that's printed and see what the shares are.
So we're not ready.
You have the results of the election already, though. Steve? Steve, you have the results of the election from the quorum that was here.
From the quorum, this is from OTR that I received this morning. Shares voted were 139,591,864 out of qualified 224,142,490. For directors, Charles Motley, 119,950,459, and abstain 732,572. For Mr. Ricketts, for 119,947, 838. Abstain 736,462. For Mr. Stapleton, for 119,972, 078. Abstain 736,462. And ratify Malone and Bailey, 138,655,023. Noes 483,210. Abstain 453,631. And we have broker none votes of 18,883,324.
So the motions of
Everything is
election of
carried. Now we're
directors
just
are
doing the
carried,
formalities of final votes. Yes,
and the motion of the appointment of Malone Bailey
it's carried also.
carried.
Yes, sir.
That concludes then the formal portion of the meeting, and we'll adjourn that meeting and open it up to questions and discussion.